In the heart of Africa, where rivers whisper secrets older than time, there lived a poor village girl who carried nothing but courage in her chest and hunger in her belly. One fateful dawn, while gathering water, she stumbled upon something no human eyes had seen for 100 years. A mermaid, old and weary, her silver hair flowing like moonlight, her body heavy with child. This was no ordinary mermaid. She was ancient, pregnant, and dying. Imagine the fear, the disbelief. A creature from legend gasping for life before a barefoot girl in rags. What would you do? Run, scream, or help? The choice this girl made would change not only her life, but her entire village. For hidden beneath the pain of the mermaid's cries lay a treasure beyond imagination, waiting for the hands brave enough to earn it. Before we dive into this breathtaking folktale, don't forget to show some love. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves powerful African stories. These tales aren't just stories, they're lessons carried through generations. Your support helps keep them alive. Now let's step into the river where the impossible became real. In a forgotten corner of Africa, where dust clung to the feet of the poor and hunger whispered at night, there lived a young girl named Obbi. She had no gold, no fine clothes, no family inheritance. What she carried was far more fragile, a restless heart and a pair of calloused hands. Every morning before the sun rose, she walked barefoot to the river, balancing a clay pot on her head, hoping the day's water would last her family until dusk. But one morning was different. Sky was still dark, the stars still hanging like scattered salt across the heavens. The path was quiet, too quiet, and the river sang a strange tune. Obbi slowed her steps. She felt it before she saw it, a sound like deep sorrow, a cry that didn't belong to any bird or beast she knew. It was the kind of cry that pulls the soul forward, even against fear. At the riverbank, her pot slipped from her head and cracked at her feet. For before her, half hidden in the reeds, lay a sight that could unhinge the mind. It was a woman, and not a woman. Her hair was white as fresh ash, tumbling down her back like a silver waterfall. Her face, lined with age, carried both pain and beauty. And her body glistening with golden scales, her long tail tangled in weeds, told the truth. She was a mermaid. Not the young, sparkling kind of songs and dreams, but old, impossibly old and heavy with child. 100 years of life etched into her skin, and now she labored as if death were near. Obbi froze. Her knees trembled. Stories from elders came rushing back. Beware the river mothers, the mamiwata. They lure the greedy, punish the proud. She whispered to herself, if I touch her, will I die? If I run, will I live? The mermaid lifted her head weakly. Her eyes met Obbi's eyes, deep and sad, like two wells of forgotten history. And then came the words, broken but clear. Child, help me, or I and my unborn will be lost. Obbi's heart raced. Her body screamed to run, but her spirit would not move. Something in those eyes pinned her to the earth. Was it fear, or was it destiny? She knelt beside the mermaid, trembling. I am poor. How can I help you? The mermaid's lips curved into a faint, painful smile. You have hands. You have courage. That is enough. At that moment, Obbi saw it clearly. The weeds twisted like shackles around the mermaid's tail, cutting into her scales, holding her prisoner. The current beat against her body, each wave heavier than the last. If nothing was done, she would sink into the river's belly, never to rise again. With shaking hands, Obbi waded into the cold water. The weeds were sharp. They cut her fingers as she pulled, but she did not stop. Each tug was a battle against fear, against the tales she had grown up hearing. The river seemed to roar louder, as though warning her. And yet, she whispered, you will not die here, not while I am alive. The mermaid groaned, her belly heaving, her strength fading. Time was slipping like water through fingers. Finally, with one last desperate pull, the weeds loosened. The mermaid gasped, her body freed, though her face was pale with exhaustion. She clutched to Benny's hand, her grip surprisingly strong for one so weak. "You have done what no one else would dare," she murmured. "And for this your name will not be forgotten." But Obbi did not understand. She only knew she had chosen compassion over fear. She did not think of reward, nor of danger. She only thought, if she were my mother, would I not want someone to help her? As the first rays of dawn broke across the river, painting the water in fire and gold, Obbi stood beside the mermaid, a barefoot poor girl and an ancient river mother. Two worlds meeting in silence, bound by a choice that would echo far beyond that morning. And though Obbi did not yet know it, what she had set in motion would open the gates to treasures and trials she could never have imagined. The river had tested her heart. She had answered. But the true test and the treasure hidden within it was only just beginning. The sun rose higher and the river began to sparkle. Obbi stood shivering, her clothes soaked, her palms bleeding from the cuts of the weeds. She thought it was over. She thought she had done her part. But the mermaid, the river mother, was not finished. Her breath came in sharp gasps, her face pale as moonlight. She clutched her swollen belly and whispered, "The child is ready, but I cannot bring her forth without help." Obbi's eyes widened. She was no midwife. She was just a poor girl, no older than 16. She had helped goats give birth, but never this. Never a creature, half woman, half fish. Yet the river mother's gaze pierced her fear. "Do not doubt yourself. Your hands are chosen." Obbi swallowed hard. She knelt at the river's edge, her heart pounding louder than the rushing water. The mermaid groaned, her body trembling. Obbi remembered how village women had birthed their babies, the soft words, the gentle hands, the patience. She mimicked what she had seen, guiding, whispering, praying. The river stilled. Even the birds seemed too quiet. And then, with a cry that echoed like thunder, the child was born. It was a small mermaid, her tiny tail shimmering with scales of gold and sapphire, her eyes glowing like the first star of night. Obbi lifted her carefully, placing the child in her mother's arms. Tears rolled down the old mermaid's cheeks. She kissed the baby's brow, then turned her gaze back to Obbi. "You have given me life when I had no strength. You have given my child a chance to live, okay? Now I give to you what humans have always longed for. But only the worthy may touch." She raised her hand and the river began to swirl. The waters parted, revealing a hidden cavern beneath. The current carried treasures to the shore, ornaments of gold, strings of pearls, jars filled with precious stones. The ground glittered with wealth beyond imagination. Obbi gasped. Never had she seen such riches. A heart raced, not with greed, but with disbelief. She thought of her family's empty hut, the nights they slept hungry, the days they worked and yet owned nothing. The mermaid spoke softly, "Take what you need. But remember, this treasure is not only what glitters. It is kindness, it is courage, it is the choice you made today." Obbi bent low, tears mixing with the river water. "I did not help you for this," she whispered. "I helped because it was right." The river mother smiled, her ancient face glowing with a beauty no age could erase. "And that, child, is why you deserve it." With that, the mermaid and her newborn sank slowly into the river, their bodies glowing as if the water itself embraced them. The surface stilled once more, leaving only ripples and the treasures scattered at Obbi's feet. When she returned to her village with pearls around her neck and gold in her hands, the people were speechless. They gathered around her asking, "Where did you find this? Who gave you such wealth?" But Obbi simply said, "The river remembers kindness. And kindness always returns richer than gold." From that day forward, her family knew no hunger. The poor girl became a woman of honor, not just because of the riches she carried, but because of the story she bore, the story of compassion greater than fear of hands, that lifted a dying mother of a heart that chose love over doubt. And the villagers. They told her story by the fire for generations. They warned their children that treasures are not found by greed, but by courage. And they whispered that somewhere in the river, a child of scales and gold still swims, watching, waiting, remembering the girl who once saved her life. The poor girl who had nothing had given everything and gained a treasure beyond imagination. And that, dear friends, is the legend of Obbi, the poor girl who saved a 100-year-old pregnant mermaid and in doing so found riches no thief could steal. Her story reminds us that sometimes the greatest treasure is not the gold in our hands, but the courage in our hearts. What would you have done if you had been in Obbi's place? Would you have run from fear or reached out with compassion? Let us know in the comments below. Your thoughts keep these stories alive. If you enjoyed this African folktale, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more powerful stories, and share this with someone who loves a good tale with a deep lesson. Until next time, remember, the rivers, the forests, and the winds still carry stories waiting for ears brave enough to listen.